The storm outside mirrors the chaos within. At 2:12 a.m., Vion Logistics, a billion-dollar empire, faces an unprecedented blackout. Red emergency lights bathe the central operations room. The heartbeat of the company has flatlined, and the clock is ticking. Amelia Cross, the 30-year-old CEO, stands alone. The weight of her father's legacy rests heavily on her shoulders tonight. She inherited the crown, but not the trust. Every board member is waiting for this exact moment, waiting for her to fail. On the master display, a network of 5,200 trucks freezes in place. A complete logistical paralysis. The projected losses climb rapidly. $160 million will vanish by sunrise if the system isn't restored. The phantom pressure of the old guard fills the room. They speak in the language of raised eyebrows and silent judgment. Amelia refuses to let the panic show. She has survived in this room by never letting them see her stop moving. Then, a single chime cuts through the silence. An anonymous, untraceable email breaches her private, secured terminal. No signature. No sender address. Just a surgical patch of code and a chilling subject line, "Run this before dawn." 3 floors below the chaos, Ethan Vale walks the quiet corridors. He is 35, pushing a cleaning cart, invisible to the empire above. No one at Vion Logistics knows the night janitor holds a doctorate in automated systems from MIT. He left that life behind 6 years ago. He traded the corporate world for a pale blue scarf draped over a hospital chair, the only thing left of his wife, Clara. After the tragic call from overseas, he made a silent vow. No system or server would ever replace the people who matter most. Now, his world is smaller but deeply grounded. Every morning begins not with board meetings, but with the quiet routine of a father. He packs a small lunchbox and carefully braids the hair of his 8-year-old daughter, Sophie. She is his only anchor. He sleeps for barely 5 hours, wakes up, and repeats the cycle. It is enough. It has to be enough. At night, he returns to the glass towers. He wipes down the transparent walls of the executive suite, erasing the fingerprints of the powerful. Through the glass, he watches Amelia Cross. She sits buried under mountains of documents, exhausted, fighting a war he walked away from. For 14 months, he has cleaned the glass outside her door. For 14 months, they have existed as parallel lines, never truly intersecting. The morning sun rises over Vion Logistics. The storm has passed, but the internal wreckage is only just beginning to surface. In the sterile light of the boardroom, Victor Lane takes the floor. He is the chief operating officer, fluent in the dialect of corporate manipulation. Victor presents a solution. He offers to hand control of the vulnerable network to an external security firm, framing it as liability protection. Amelia listens quietly. Everything about Victor is meticulously reasonable, but the offer feels like a polished trap. She declines his proposal. The anonymous patch is holding the infrastructure together, and she refuses to hand over the keys to a stranger. 3 floors below, the true architect of her salvation is already uncovering the roots of the crisis. During his evening shift, Ethan pushes his cart past the physical server room. A faint anomaly on a diagnostic monitor catches his eye. He stops. He reads the scrolling data not as a surface image, but as a living structure. He sees the deliberate scars left behind. The firewall configuration was not breached from the outside. The digital doors were open from within, hours before the storm even hit. Ethan straightens up, adjusting his grip on the cart handle. The silent janitor now holds the missing piece of a multi-million-dollar puzzle. In the shadowed corners of his private office, Victor Lane works quickly to rewrite history. He meticulously doctors the server corridor's security footage, altering timestamps to build a false narrative. He needs a scapegoat. He chooses Owen Miller, a dedicated facilities technician whose only crime was being on the schedule. Upstairs, Amelia is not waiting for the board to decide her fate. She initiates a quiet investigation of her own. Nolan, her chief technology officer, traces the anonymous email. The sender used 3 layers of relay routing, the work of a ghost. But ghosts leave fingerprints. Buried in the architecture of the patch is a unique annotation style. It matches an obscure academic paper published 9 years ago. The author's name is Ethan Vale. Amelia pulls up the archived records. A brilliant MIT graduate who vanished from the industry without a trace. She books a flight to Boston immediately. The CEO is determined to find the man who saved her empire. Meanwhile, in the basement, the man she is hunting quietly finishes his shift, fully aware that Victor's trap has already been set. Boston. Northbridge Systems occupies a sprawling glass complex in Cambridge. It is the kind of place where brilliant minds do important work and forget to go home. Amelia steps into the lobby, carrying the weight of her quiet investigation. She is directed to the office of Dale Rutherford. Dale is a senior engineer, nursing a cold cup of coffee. When he hears the name Ethan Vale, his expression shifts. He remembers Ethan as the most exceptional systems architect of their generation, a man who could see the invisible threads connecting everything. But then Dale's voice drops. He speaks of Clara. He speaks of the tragedy on the road that occurred while Ethan was deployed overseas. By the time Ethan's flight landed, it was too late to say goodbye. The brilliant engineer came back to the office exactly once. He packed a single cardboard box and walked away, stating he had a daughter who needed a father who came home every night. Amelia listens in stunned silence. The words echo in the sterile office. A father who came home. On the drive back to the airport, the radio remains off. Amelia thinks about her own life, about the voicemails from her father she ignored for board meetings. Ethan's loss taught him what truly mattered. Amelia realizes, with a sharp pang of clarity, that her success hasn't taught her anything yet. The flight back to headquarters is a blur of altitude and shifting perspectives. Amelia opens her notebook, staring at the scattered pieces of a brilliant, broken man. She knows who Ethan Vale is now. She understands the weight of his sacrifice. She just doesn't know where to find him. She is about to find out. He has been 20 feet from her office door this entire time. On a quiet Tuesday morning, she walks the long executive corridor. At the far end, a man in a gray uniform is crouching near the baseboard. He is replacing a section of loose trim, working with the focused economy of a master architect analyzing a structure. Amelia slows down. For the first time in 2 years, she does not look past the uniform. She looks at the man. Ethan glances up. His deep blue eyes meet hers. He offers a subtle, quiet nod of greeting, then seamlessly returns to his work. She stands frozen in the hallway, feeling the edges of a revelation she cannot yet name. The man she has been hunting is right here. Before she can speak, her phone vibrates sharply. It is an emergency alert from Nolan, her chief technology officer. The message is clear and urgent: Victor is making his move. He is formally interrogating the innocent technician, Owen Miller, on the record. Amelia redirects her path, sprinting toward the human resources corridor. She has to stop Victor before the damage is permanent. But Victor had quietly moved the meeting forward by 30 minutes. By the time she arrives, the doors are already opening. Owen Miller walks out. He is a 40-year-old father of 2, and he looks like a man who has just been told the floor beneath him isn't real. He holds his building badge in one trembling hand, gripping it with the uncertainty of someone who doesn't know if they still belong. Further down the hall, partially hidden in the shadows of a supply closet, Ethan stands motionless with his cleaning cart. He watches Owen's face. He sees the exact moment a man's livelihood is destroyed by an institution protecting itself. Something shifts inside Ethan. Not a dramatic change, but the quiet, heavy closing of an internal door. The silence he chose to protect his own peace has become a weapon against an innocent man. That evening, Ethan sits at his small kitchen table. The apartment is dark and quiet. Sophie is already asleep in the next room. He stares at a child's drawing pinned to the refrigerator. It is a messy, beautiful reminder of the only thing he cares about. He picks up his phone. The time for hiding in the shadows is over. He opens a secure terminal and begins to type a message directly to the CEO. The board meeting is called for 9 on Friday morning. Amelia has been at her desk since 6, preparing for the war ahead. On one monitor, she reviews the forensic discrepancies. On the other, she studies Victor's meticulously fabricated timeline. Her focus is broken by a sudden, direct notification. The message Ethan sent the night before is displayed on her screen. 4 sentences. No greeting. He takes ownership of the patch, denies the internal sabotage, and offers the original development logs. This time, there is no digital ghost. The message was sent from an internal facility terminal. He wants her to know exactly who he is. By 8:50, the boardroom is packed. 12 powerful executives sit around the mahogany table, radiating nervous energy. Victor Lane enters last. Unhurried and holding a leather portfolio, he carries the confidence of a man whose trap is perfectly set. He methodically presents his case, displaying the doctored keycard logs and the manipulated payment trail on the main projector. He masterfully guides the room to a false conclusion, subtly framing the innocent technician as the architect of the crisis. Amelia lets him speak. She sits at the head of the table, her hands resting calmly on her closed laptop, waiting for the perfect moment to dismantle him. Victor ket tuk by thuyet trin qua min, chin tuk de zut sa tai nuoi ky thuet veen vo toi va am chi suyu kem qua 6 ceo tre. Kak ton veen hoi dong gat dao dong thuan. Mot q jiam dok chuan by dua ra la fu fi truet Amelia. Dung Luke Du, Amelia Len Tiang. Zhong Noi Qua Ko Diem Tin, Sak Lan, Kattengang Bao Kong Kai Tsang Tang. Ko Tu Tu Mo Cheek Mai Tin Zak Te Mao Bac Va Ket Noi No Tang Veo He Thong Hien Ti Trung Tom. Mon Hin Lan Dutton Got Chuyen Mao. Ban Bao Tsao Jia Mao Qua Victor by Thay the Boi Chui Du Lu Gok Kong the Choi Kai. Tung Dong Log Trui Cap Hienra, Vok Tran Vik Buk Tuong Lua by Ha Suang Tu Chin Tai Koan Quan Tri Qua Victor. Teep Theo La Chui Email Da by Zoa Va Ho So Chuyen Koan Bi Mat Tri Jia Bon Muoi Non Du La Cho Tsong Tai San Sao. Kan Fong Hop Bong Len and Hung Tiang Ti Tam. Ve Tu Man Tren Guang Mat Victor Boc Hoi, Thay the Bang Su Hong Lon Tot Du. Amelia Dua Ra Don Quiet Din. Kufan Boi Deng Goi Nai Tai Day, Con Nuoi Hung and Dan De Q Tap Don Se Kong by Lo Dien. Victor by Luke Luong and Nin Ho Tong Ra Koi Toa Na. Vo Kich Tao Tung Qua Han De Chin Tuk Kep Lai Trong Huk Na. The boardroom breathes a collective sigh of relief. The lawyers immediately take over the procedural aftermath of the crisis. Amelia checks her watch. It is 2:58 in the afternoon. The institutional machine moves far too slowly for her now. A senior board member asks her to stay for the final signatures. Amelia declines. She has a much more important meeting. She leaves the executive floor behind, descending in the glass elevator into the depths of the building. Sublevel 2. The fluorescent lights hum quietly. She walks toward the small, cramped facility's break room. Ethan Vale sits at a narrow table, eating cold rice from a plastic container. He is calm, waiting for the inevitable. Amelia stands in the doorway. She looks at the man who sacrificed his hard-won anonymity to save a stranger. "You're Ethan Vale," she says. He looks up from his meal, his deep blue eyes calm and fiercely intelligent. She walks into the room, bringing the aura of the executive suite into the dingy basement. She offers no rehearsed corporate speeches. She simply tells him she went to Boston. She tells him she knows about Clara. And for the first time, she apologizes for not seeing him. Ethan listens to the apology. The silence in the room stretches, heavy with unspoken understanding. He realizes she finally sees the man, not the uniform. He reaches into his jacket and places a small, encrypted USB drive on the table. It contains the original development logs. He establishes his conditions. He refuses to be a headline. He demands to remain an anonymous consultant, protecting his quiet life. Amelia accepts without hesitation. No corporate negotiations, just a silent pact made in the depths of the basement. The following morning, Vion Logistics issues a formal, company-wide apology to Owen Miller, clearing his name entirely. Owen stands in his modest living room, reading the notice. The crushing weight lifts, and he pulls his children into a tight embrace. Ethan's life shifts, but on his own terms. He accepts the title of remote technical advisor, setting strict operational boundaries. His hours are dictated not by market demands, but by the school bell. He remains available for critical crises, nothing less. Amelia stands before the remaining board members. She no longer asks for their approval, she dictates the new operational reality. Miles away from the corporate towers, Ethan waits outside a brick elementary school, his presence a fulfilled promise to the only person who matters. 6 weeks pass. The corporate storms settle into a predictable rhythm. Yet, sitting in her pristine office, Amelia finds herself looking for a different kind of anchor. She picks up her phone and types a rare, informal message. "Would it be all right if I came by tomorrow? Not for work." Across the city, Ethan reads the glowing screen. He pauses, considering the intrusion into his quiet world, before replying with the location of a suburban park. Saturday morning brings a crisp, bright light over the local athletic fields. Children chase a worn leather ball with chaotic, endless energy. Ethan sits on the wooden bleachers. He holds a thermos of coffee, his posture relaxed, completely anchored in the present moment. Amelia arrives without her corporate armor. Dressed in a simple knit sweater and jeans, the imposing CEO looks remarkably human and approachable. She sits down beside him on the wooden bench. They leave a respectful distance between them, sharing the comfortable silence of two people who understand each other. On the grass, Sophie misses a crucial kick. She stumbles, recovers without hesitation, and immediately sprints after the ball with undiminished effort. She doesn't give up, Amelia observes quietly. Ethan watches his daughter, a genuine, rare smile breaking across his rugged features. She never has. Amelia looks out at the field and speaks softly. "I learned the name of every facility staff member in the building this week." Ethan turns to her, truly listening. The conversation on the bleachers becomes the foundation for a quiet revolution. 3 months later, Vion Logistics looks fundamentally different. Amelia initiates a completely new curriculum within the company. It is a 12-week technical training program designed specifically for hourly workers and single parents. The initiative is free of charge and scheduled entirely around school hours. It is an opportunity for those placed in positions where no one ever thought to look. On the opening day of the first cohort, the bright orientation room fills with 22 individuals. There is a former delivery driver who understands routing better than senior analysts, and a single mother with an exceptionally clear mind for systems. Ethan stands at the front of the room, not in a gray uniform, but as the lead technical advisor. He is ready to teach. Sophie stands between Ethan and Amelia, holding a paper cup of juice. She watches the room fill with people who look just like her father. Without announcement or ceremony, Sophie reaches up. She takes her father's hand in her left, and Amelia's hand in her right. Children decide what is normal and simply proceed accordingly. Ethan looks down at his daughter, then looks across at Amelia. Amelia is already looking back. Neither of them says a word. Some things do not announce themselves, they just arrive quietly. The new rhythm holds for exactly 2 months. Vion Logistics thrives under Amelia's command, and Ethan remains safely in the shadows. But institutions have deep memories. Gerald Marsh, the oldest member of the board, refuses to accept the quiet revolution. In his dimly lit office, Marsh reviews a stack of unauthorized photographs. They show Amelia, Ethan, and Sophie at the suburban park. To Marsh, this is not a story of redemption. It is a severe vulnerability. A CEO romantically involved with a former janitor who holds the system's keys. He orchestrates a secret meeting with the head of a rival logistics empire, a ruthless executive named Eleanor Vance. They draft a hostile takeover strategy. Their weapon of choice is a morality and security clause buried deep in Amelia's contract. Ignorant of the impending coup, Ethan conducts a remote training session. His monitoring software detects a subtle anomaly. Someone is deliberately bypassing the standard firewall to extract the encrypted logs of the anonymous consultant. Ethan's fingers fly across the keyboard. He traces the digital footprint back to an executive terminal registered to Gerald Marsh. The shadows are creeping back into the light. Ethan reaches for his phone, knowing the fragile piece is about to shatter. The phone call cuts through the quiet evening. Amelia answers, expecting a routine update, but Ethan's voice is entirely devoid of warmth. He delivers the facts with surgical precision. Gerald Marsh is extracting the encrypted logs, preparing to trigger the morality clause in her contract. The peaceful illusion of the last 2 months shatters instantly. Amelia realizes her own board is orchestrating a hostile takeover from the inside. They meet an hour later in the deserted sublevel parking garage. The fluorescent lights buzz over the concrete, casting long, defensive shadows. Ethan places his laptop on the hood of her car. He shows her the digital trail, linking Marsh directly to Eleanor Vance. Amelia reads the blackmail strategy. They intend to leak the surveillance photos, destroying Ethan and Sophie's quiet life unless she steps down. Ethan makes a quiet, devastating offer. He will resign immediately, taking the scandal with him and vanishing into the shadows once more. Amelia closes the laptop with a sharp snap. She refuses to let him become a sacrificial pawn for a second time. She did not fight her way to the top just to surrender to blackmail. If they want a war over vulnerabilities, she will give them one. The defensive posture is abandoned. Standing in the cold garage, the CEO and the architect begin drafting a ruthless counteroffensive. The parking garage is too exposed. Ethan suggests a secure location where his isolated servers are already running. Amelia arrives at Ethan's modest apartment. The stark contrast between her luxury high-rise and his grounded domestic reality is immediately apparent. She notices a framed photograph of Clara and Sophie on the shelf. The sight hardens her resolve. This battle is no longer just about corporate survival. Ethan takes his seat at the multi-monitor workstation. He initiates a deep, unauthorized trace into the offshore accounts linked to Gerald Marsh. Amelia stands beside him, analyzing the complex legal structure of Eleanor Vance's logistics empire, searching for a fatal structural flaw. They work in perfect, silent synchrony. The brilliant CEO and the masterful systems architect, dismantling their enemies from the shadows. The hours slip by unnoticed. At 3:14 a.m., a heavily guarded financial ledger yields to Ethan's relentless algorithmic pressure. The decoded data reveals a massive shadow network. Marsh and Vance have been artificially deflating Vion's market value to cheapen the takeover bid. It is not merely a hostile business strategy, it is documented corporate treason. Amelia's eyes reflect the glowing evidence of their salvation. A cold, calculating smile touches her lips. The meticulously laid trap of the old guard has just become their own execution block. Monday morning arrives with a chilling corporate calm. Gerald Marsh steps into the Vion boardroom, carrying the confidence of a man who believes he has already won. He assumes the emergency session will end with Amelia's resignation. He holds the surveillance photos in his leather portfolio, ready to execute his blackmail. Miles away, Eleanor Vance sits in her own high-rise office, watching Vion's stock tickers. She waits for the signal to launch the hostile acquisition. Amelia enters the boardroom at precisely 9 o'clock. She does not wear the defensive posture of a cornered executive, but the armor of a conqueror. Marsh begins to speak, preparing to lay down his ultimatum. Amelia cuts him off immediately, her voice slicing through the heavy air with icy precision. She bypasses the standard presentation screen. Instead, she distributes heavily redacted physical folders to every remaining member of the executive board. The board members open the files. Inside is the undeniable proof of market manipulation, illegal offshore accounts, and the synchronized shadow ledger. The room falls deathly silent. The executives read the catastrophic evidence connecting their oldest colleague to their most ruthless competitor. Marsh's confident facade crumbles into pale horror. He looks down at the irrefutable data, realizing his brilliant scheme was dismantled overnight. Amelia delivers her final term. It is not a negotiation. Marsh will resign immediately, or the forensic logs will be handed directly to federal regulators. The boardroom doors close behind Gerald Marsh. Inside, the remaining executives sit in stunned silence, fully realizing the shift in power. Amelia does not pause to celebrate. She immediately turns her attention to the external threat. Eleanor Vance is still waiting to strike. Instead of defending, Amelia launches a preemptive offensive. She releases a sanitized version of the shadow ledger to the financial press. The news hits the market within minutes. The offshore manipulation is exposed, entirely isolated to Marsh and Vance's private dealings. Across the city, Eleanor Vance watches her stock tickers. The green numbers suddenly halt, flickering rapidly into a cascading sea of red. Vance picks up her phone, demanding answers. But the lines of communication with her inside man have been permanently severed. At his home office, Ethan monitors the digital fallout. He watches the rival company's market capitalization plummet in real time. He leans back in his chair, closing his laptop. The digital war is over. The defense holds, and the enemy is routed. Later that evening, Amelia stands alone in her pristine executive office. The city lights stretch out below her, peaceful once again. The empire is secure. The threats have been neutralized. Yet, in the silence of her victory, she realizes she no longer wants to rule alone. Tuesday evening arrives. For the first time in her tenure, Amelia Cross leaves the Vion Logistics Tower before the sun goes down. She drives away from the towering glass structures, steering her car toward the quiet, tree-lined streets of the suburbs. In the fading afternoon light, Ethan Vale is in his small front yard, carefully repairing the chain on a child's bicycle. Amelia stops at the edge of the driveway. She wears no corporate armor, just a simple coat and a hesitant, genuine expression. Ethan looks up, wiping grease from his hands with a cloth. His surprise quickly melts into a welcoming, quiet understanding. She admits, with rare vulnerability, that she has no idea how to navigate a quiet evening, but she deeply wants to learn. A warm, genuine smile spreads across Ethan's rugged face. He simply opens the door, inviting her into his private sanctuary. Inside, the modest dining table is small and chaotic, a stark contrast to the sterile, massive mahogany board she is used to. Sophie runs into the room. Without any hesitation, the 8-year-old hands the powerful CEO a stack of plates to set the table. Amelia sits down among them. The corporate empire fades away, replaced by the profound realization that she has finally found a home. The peace of the suburban dining room offers a brief sanctuary. But outside, a different storm is brewing. The spectacular collapse of Eleanor Vance's empire has attracted the wolves of the financial press. They are no longer satisfied with the sanitized narrative. They are actively hunting the phantom architect who saved Vion Logistics. Thomas Reed, a veteran investigative journalist, is methodical and relentless. He does not believe in ghosts. In his cramped, smoke-filled office, Reed connects a newly uncovered MIT dissertation to the routing architecture of the Vion patch. The name Ethan Vale is circled in red ink on his corkboard. The invisible man is suddenly in the crosshairs. Wednesday morning. Reed bypasses corporate security, waiting in the biting cold outside the executive parking entrance. As Amelia's car arrives, Reed steps forward. He holds up a printed copy of the MIT dissertation, tapping the author's name. Amelia's blood runs cold. The sanctuary she just discovered with Ethan and Sophie is directly threatened by the blinding glare of the public eye. She rolls down the tinted window. The battle for the company is over, but the war to protect her new family has just begun. The morning air is freezing, but Amelia's gaze is colder. She stares down the veteran journalist, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. Thomas Reed pushes the printed dissertation closer to the window. He demands a statement regarding the hidden genius operating within her corporate empire. The CEO does not flinch. She issues a calm, legally precise warning about corporate harassment, completely denying his narrative before rolling the window up. The heavy luxury car accelerates, leaving the frustrated journalist standing in the freezing mist. The first skirmish ends in a tactical retreat. Inside the secure cabin, Amelia immediately dials a highly encrypted number. The time for corporate secrecy is over, she needs her architect. Miles away, Ethan is packing a small lunchbox for his daughter. He answers the phone, recognizing the urgent ringtone of the executive line. Amelia delivers the stark truth. The press has his name, his academic history, and his connection to the patch. The shadow cover is blown. Ethan stops his movements. He looks down the quiet hallway, listening to his daughter getting ready for school. The threat has reached his doorstep. He processes the variables with algorithmic speed. He realizes that silence is no longer a shield, they must control the narrative before the journalist publishes. Amelia agrees. She instructs her driver to turn the car around. They will not wait for the story to break, they will rewrite it themselves. The black luxury car abruptly changes course, weaving through the morning traffic. Amelia is no longer running from the crisis, she is driving directly into it. She arrives at the suburban house not to hide, but to extract her greatest asset. Ethan steps out, trading his gray uniform for a sharp, tailored suit. They do not wait for Thomas Reed to publish his sensationalized article. They decide to control the blast radius by breaking the story themselves. Amelia contacts a leading global financial network. She offers them an exclusive, live interview with the elusive architect who saved Vion Logistics. The corporate headquarters transforms into a fortress of public relations. Cameras and lighting rigs are quickly assembled in the pristine executive suite. Ethan sits in front of the lens. The brilliant mind that spent 14 months hiding in the shadows is finally ready to step into the light. The broadcast goes live across international markets. Amelia introduces Ethan Vale, framing him not as a scandal, but as a paragon of integrity. Ethan speaks calmly. He details the corrupt system he defeated and emphasizes that he returned only to protect the livelihoods of innocent workers. In his cramped office, journalist Thomas Reed watches the broadcast in bitter silence. His exclusive blackmail piece is instantly rendered obsolete. Miles away, in the safety of a bright classroom, a teacher turns on the news. Sophie watches her father on the screen, beaming with quiet pride. The red broadcast light blinks off. For a moment, the executive suite is silent, before the camera crew breaks into spontaneous, genuine applause. Amelia and Ethan remain seated. They share a quiet, unshakable look amidst the sudden noise, knowing the gamble has paid off entirely. The market reaction is instantaneous. Vion Logistics stock surges, the public deeply moved by the narrative of the brilliant, sacrificial architect. Sitting alone in his dark, silent study, Gerald Marsh watches the broadcast replay. He realizes his legacy has been permanently erased from the empire. The corporate war concludes, giving way to a new era. Several weeks later, the technical training cohort is thriving under Ethan's guidance. Ethan stands by a digital terminal, patiently explaining complex routing algorithms to the former delivery driver, treating him as an intellectual equal. Amelia watches from the glass doorway of the training center. She observes the profound, structural change she helped orchestrate. Ethan notices her standing there. He excuses himself from the terminal and walks toward the CEO, no longer hiding in the shadows. They walk side by side down the bright executive corridor. The parallel lines that once divided them have finally merged into a single path. The employees they pass do not look away. Instead, they offer respectful, acknowledging nods to the leaders who actually see them. The global broadcast secured Vion Logistics, but it also sent a beacon deep into the past. In an opulent Boston estate, Arthur and Helen Sterling watch the replay. They are Clara's parents, the embodiment of rigid old money. They had severed ties with Ethan 6 years ago, disgusted when he abandoned his career to live as a working-class single father. Seeing him resurface alongside a high-profile CEO, they perceive Sophie's environment not as a home, but as an unacceptable media circus. Arthur picks up an antique phone. He dials a ruthless family law attorney, setting a new, deeply personal battle in motion. Back in the city, the weekend brings a rare moment of peace. Amelia, Ethan, and Sophie share a quiet morning in the apartment. The domestic harmony is abruptly broken by a sharp knock. A courier stands at the door, handing Ethan a thick, sealed envelope. Ethan opens the heavy paper. As his eyes scan the legal text, his relaxed posture turns into cold, unyielding stone. Amelia reads the document over his shoulder.
What is this?
It is a formal, aggressive petition from the Sterling family demanding full custody of Sophie. The corporate battlefield has been conquered, but a far more ruthless war for legacy and family has just breached their sanctuary. The weight of the custody petition settles over the apartment. The corporate victory is instantly overshadowed by a profound, terrifying vulnerability. Ethan reads the document repeatedly. The aristocratic Sterling family is leveraging their immense wealth to paint him as an unfit, negligent father. Their argument centers on the recent media exposure. They claim the high-profile relationship with the CEO places the child in a disruptive, unstable environment. Amelia watches Ethan's stoic facade crack. The man who calmly dismantled a multi-million-dollar corporate conspiracy is now terrified of losing his only anchor. Down the hall, Sophie sleeps peacefully, completely unaware that her future is being contested by people she barely remembers. Amelia places a firm hand over the legal document. She did not dismantle her own board just to surrender her new family to aristocratic bullies. The next morning, they enter the glass offices of Marcus Thorne, a ruthless family defense attorney known for dismantling old money legal strikes. Marcus reviews the petition with clinical detachment. He warns them that the Sterlings possess endless resources and a deeply entrenched network of influence. Ethan insists he will not subject his daughter to a brutal courtroom spectacle. He refuses to let Sophie become collateral damage in a legal war. Amelia proposes a different angle. If the Sterlings intend to weaponize public perception and financial power, she will meet them on exactly the same battlefield. Amelia returns to Vion Logistics, treating the custody battle with the same ruthless efficiency as a hostile corporate war. She authorizes Marcus Thorne to access the company's elite forensic accounting team, redirecting immense corporate resources. The target is the Sterling family. If they want to scrutinize stability, every inch of their inherited wealth will be dissected. Back at the apartment, Ethan shields his daughter from the impending storm, maintaining an atmosphere of absolute domestic peace. He sits on the floor with Sophie, helping her build a complex architectural model out of wooden blocks. His deep blue eyes mask the terrifying uncertainty of the legal battle. He remains the unshakable foundation of her world. Late into the night, Marcus Thorne makes a critical breakthrough in his massive glass corner office. He uncovers a series of highly guarded shell companies used by Arthur Sterling to conceal highly questionable international investments. The supposed moral high ground of the aristocratic family is built on a fragile foundation of profound financial hypocrisy. Marcus forwards the encrypted dossier to Amelia. The leverage required to force a sudden retreat has been officially secured. The offensive moves from the boardroom to the ancestral battleground. Amelia and Ethan arrive at the heavily gated Sterling estate in Boston. Inside the opulent mansion, Arthur and Helen wait for their lawyers to deliver a swift legal victory. They do not expect the targets of their lawsuit to walk directly through their mahogany front doors. Arthur rises, his aristocratic pride deeply offended by the unannounced intrusion. He demands they leave his property immediately. Ethan steps forward. He is no longer the broken, grieving widower they exiled 6 years ago. He is an unshakable wall. Amelia does not engage in social pleasantries. She drops the heavy printed dossier directly onto the antique coffee table. Helen's icy demeanor fractures as her eyes catch the prominent financial headers exposed on the top page. Arthur reads the detailed logs of his illegal shell companies. The foundation of his moral superiority collapses into profound legal peril. Amelia delivers the absolute terms: withdraw the custody petition permanently, or the evidence goes to federal regulators by noon. Ethan looks at the parents of his late wife. There is no anger in his eyes, only cold, absolute finality. They will never threaten his daughter again. The heavy mahogany doors of the Sterling estate close. Amelia and Ethan walk down the gravel driveway, leaving the toxic aristocratic legacy behind permanently. They stand by the luxury car. The overcast sky no longer feels oppressive. A profound, silent relief passes between the CEO and the architect. By Tuesday morning, the formal withdrawal of the custody petition arrives at the law firm. Marcus Thorne reviews the unconditional surrender with clinical satisfaction. The confirmation reaches the suburban apartment. The suffocating anxiety that had blanketed the home dissolves instantly into the bright morning light. Ethan finds Sophie in her bedroom. He pulls his daughter into a long, quiet embrace, knowing their sanctuary is finally completely secure. Amelia watches from the doorway. She realizes her greatest victory was not stabilizing a multi-million-dollar logistics empire, but fiercely defending this fragile home. Weeks turn into months. The harsh winter yields to a bright, optimistic spring across the bustling city. Inside the Vion Towers, the corporate culture transforms. Amelia walks the executive corridors, commanding absolute loyalty and genuine respect. Ethan seamlessly manages the technical infrastructure from his home office. The rigid boundary between the working class and the executive suite is permanently dismantled. Friday afternoon arrives. A luxury car is packed with weekend luggage. The corporate warriors prepare to leave the city, choosing presence over power. The luxury car leaves the sprawling metropolis behind, winding its way through dense coastal forests. They arrive at a secluded timber cabin overlooking the ocean. There are no boardrooms here, only the steady rhythm of the waves. Sophie runs out onto the sandy beach, her laughter carrying over the crisp ocean breeze. Ethan unloads the luggage, his posture entirely relaxed. The heavy burdens of the past 6 years have finally dissolved. Amelia stands on the wooden porch, breathing in the salt air. The relentless corporate armor is gone, replaced by a profound inner peace. Later that afternoon, Ethan and Sophie skip stones across the water. It is a simple, unremarkable moment, which makes it infinitely precious. Amelia watches them from the shoreline. She thinks about the empire she built and realizes it is secondary to the family she found. As evening falls, a warm fire crackles inside the stone hearth of the cabin. The three of them sit comfortably around the hearth. There are no urgent emails, no hostile takeovers, just the quiet safety of belonging. Ethan looks at Amelia across the firelight. The silent understanding between them speaks volumes. They have weathered the storm and built a fortress of their own. Morning breaks over the coastal cabin. The restless ocean has calmed, mirroring the newly established peace within their lives. Amelia stands at the water's edge. She realizes her greatest legacy will never be a logistics empire, but the family she fiercely protects. Ethan joins her, draping a warm coat over her shoulders. It is a silent vow of unwavering partnership and mutual strength. Sophie runs toward them, holding a small, perfect seashell. She is the living proof that humanity matters more than any rigid system. The three of them walk together along the shoreline. They are a chosen family, forged in the fires of a corporate war. This story is not just about a CEO and a hidden genius. It is a reminder of the quiet individuals overlooked by society every single day. The workers who sweep the floors, who silently repair broken systems in the dark, consistently choosing presence over public recognition. Unshakable integrity rarely makes the front page headlines, yet it remains the invisible foundation supporting the entire modern world. True power is not wielded from a boardroom throne. It is discovered by having the courage to genuinely see those standing in the shadows. The shadow line has finally vanished. In the end, the most profound victories are the ones won quietly, entirely far away from the applause.